National Reconciliation Week is bookended by two really important dates. The first date is the 27th of May. 27th of May is the anniversary of the 1967 referendum that gave Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people a chance to be included in the census and for the Commonwealth to make decisions on their behalf. And what that meant was a whole range of rights and opportunities that they all of a sudden had access to. So it's a really important date. This year happens to be the 50th anniversary of that 67 referendum, so this National Reconciliation Week is really important. The end of National Reconciliation Week is marked by the 3rd of June, which is the anniversary of the High Court Mabo decision. And that's when the High Court acknowledged that Torres Strait Islander people were here before anyone else was. And in fact, when Cook arrived, the land wasn't terra nullius, in other words, vacant land. And that opened up the discussion and also the opportunity for land rights legislation across the country, because it showed that there was a connection between Aboriginal people and their 60,000 plus years of association with the land. So it's a really important landmark. I think it's fantastic that the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander flag and the Australian flag are all symbolised here at Barangaroo. This is a place that's been named after an Aboriginal person, so the place with an Aboriginal name showcasing its connection to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and the history related to this part of Australia. Many people probably don't know that Bennelong was an important man who lived a life in this region, and he was an intermediary between the colonists a very long time ago and the Aboriginal people of the area. And Barangaroo was his wife, and so it's really fantastic that this should all culminate in this place at this time. I think most people know that we have a national flag of Australia, of course, and I think most people know too that we have an Aboriginal flag. What most people don't know is that the Aboriginal flag and the Torres Strait Islander flag were both enshrined as formal flags of Australia in the 90s, and so in fact we have three national flags, not just one. The Aboriginal flag has a centre circle which is yellow, and that represents the sun and the giver of life. At the very bottom you have a red section which represents the land, and the top section is black, and that represents the Aboriginal people themselves. The Torres Strait Islander flag is made up of beautiful colours. You've got the green that represents the land, the blue that represents the ocean, the black that represents the people themselves, and the white that represents peace. And then there's two symbols in the centre of the flag. One is a star with 5 points to the star, and it represents the 5 major islands of the Torres Strait and also their affiliation with the constellations. And then you've got a traditional headdress that's sort of worn over the head and the shoulders. It's a beautiful flag. There's been some discussion over the years about whether we should have the Aboriginal flag, the Torres Strait Islander flag and the Australian flag all joined together. I'm not quite sure whether that will ever happen, but I think it's a really good conversation to have, and it's a conversation that all Australians should have, because these things symbolise ourselves, gives us a sense of pride, a sense of purpose in some ways, a sense of identity. So it's a conversation that we all should have together. We always see the Aboriginal flag used with the Torres Strait Islander flag. You don't see one without the other, they're both flown together. And ideally you would have all three flags flown at the same time. So that's the Australian flag, the Aboriginal flag and the Torres Strait Islander flag, because we get a sense of place and we get a sense of history of those people that have come before us and who we share the land with today.